The first time I thought I understood God is while reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, the first real book my father had given me as a child. I remember the cover instantly made me shiver. I had never seen an expression on a face so determined that it was furious. I started idolizing Malcolm X. It's not often you find a civil rights leader that isn't cringy about it. Plus, he found a way to change his life in prison and gave himself a cool name. After finishing the last chapter, I went to the mall and bought the same glasses from the cover. From that day forward, it became my mission to give my words power too. To document growth as means of inspiration just like Malcolm did. I swore to embrace the uncertainty of change head on instead of fearing it like everyone else. There are 3 truths from that book that stuck with me for life. Number 1, a boy must struggle to become a man. 2, the greatest threat to corrupted power is positivity. And 3, go to Mecca. The neighboring holy cities of Mecca and Medina are where Islam originated, where the Prophet was born and where he was buried. It's the destination Muslims globally pray towards as if it's the center of the universe. But Mecca's atmosphere alone will have you believing that. Mecca is the host.
What bothers me so much is that people call Sneeko a fake Muslim. Like, when every Muslim around him accepts him, but the non-Muslims say he's fake, that might tell you that there's a problem there, right? Like, who are you to say he's not Muslim if every Muslim is saying, yes, he is Muslim? And let me tell you something right now. He wouldn't be able to go to Mecca if he wasn't Muslim. You have to be a Muslim to go there. Go ahead, try it. Get on a plane. If you're not Muslim, go. See if you're able to go. Just tell me if you can. Go ahead, try it.
To so many hilariously different walks of life solely off the collective intention to purify the heart. Visualize the madness of Times Square on New Year's Eve, but moving at peaceful chaos. A meditative energy so powerful and contagious upon arrival, it's overwhelming. Witnessing hordes of strangers naturally exist as if the passerby on both shoulders was their brother and sister. The simplicity of it is frustrating. Such a densely populated city commonly requires police ready in eyesight, yet the physical presence of security is nearly invisible. Right then, my confusion turned frustration was realized. The only real acting security here is God. Never has his presence been so obvious in every thought, every word, and every action than in Mecca. It's visible directly on the faces of the pilgrims. The look of calm determination and innocence. A combined bliss, sadness, and compassion. I went completely silent for days while my soul adjusted from its familiar chaos to unwavering peace. So I could finally lower my guard and pray fearlessly next to my brothers from across the world. So I could walk amongst a crowd of complete strangers with the confidence and familiarity of a soldier amongst his army. So I can look into someone's eyes and see it's a pure soul and not that little character created out of fear. The pilgrimage began in the city of Medina, where the Prophet led prayer and where he was buried. For days, I didn't utter a sound just to properly hear distant chatter between prayers. I listened to scholars and sheikhs share wisdom accompanied by coffee and tea. Every day at the sound of prayer call, I routinely followed, each prayer fixing the noisy static blocking my proper connection to God. I stayed silent while ego, depression, and fear desperately clamored for attention. Each prayer wiping away cobwebs covering my heart. I wandered the streets of Medina with both newfound maturity and an infantile carelessness, equipped with the understanding of perfect oneness the creation has with its creator, armed with the realization no amount of drugs and therapy can supplement God. Reminded that although prayer in Medina is routine, back home, it's replaced by weekends ritualistic drinking. I continued walking through the holy city just like the prophet before me, now fully aware of the uncomfortable truth. These coping mechanisms are mere bandages over the wounds of life, and there's nothing man-made that fixes damage done by God's creation. With every passing day, it becomes even more evident how the struggles of man will never be solved by worldly pleasures. How indulging as a means of distraction only grows the ever-increasing void in the heart. Each passing day reveals that the more glamorous the life is paid for by riches and fame, the more broken the soul is. Without God, they naturally worship celebrities instead, living life completely desensitized because everything is dramatized and sexualized, while Mecca is the place that tells you to be grateful just for being alive. The path of the West is accepting a mind state of constant outrage and exhaustion. of false happiness and confusion. Of course, a spiritual awakening among youth is imminent. Why else can someone who was raised on stimulation and made wealthy through fame finally find the truth in Mecca, a city where women appear like two floating islets under a cloak? Over a decade of seeking the next high to forget how meaningless it all is, only to find it wearing a white piece of cloth with my head to the floor. But getting revenge on opposition, naked women at your fingertips. The whispers of temptation had never sounded less appealing. Nothing in this world is more important than following God, and Mecca is existing proof. And when it became clear my surroundings were the closest example of heaven on earth, the waves of guilt came crashing down. I finally found the truth I had been seeking, yet I couldn't shake this lingering feeling of despair, knowing this clarity was temporary. Eventually, I have to return back home to the place where prostitutes are celebrated, but the modest sisters who cover themselves willingly are called victims of oppression, where men become heroes for abandoning their family to dress like girls, where everyday people are tricked into worshiping the devil by worshiping themselves. I have to go back to the West. I should be fully present here while I have the opportunity, but Mecca is such an idealistic sanctuary from everything I despise. The comparison robs it of some joy. In this world, a place exists away from hatred, from divisiveness, confusion, and emptiness, and most people will never realize it. A place exists where the very meaning of life is answered collectively 5 times a day, where she's my sister and he's my brother, and together we're united under our gratitude that God created us. If the world knew the truth of Islam, we would have peace, but we never will.
Inshallah.
The final day was dedicated towards the Kaaba. It's the first mosque ever built. Here, walking amongst my people, moving circular, almost in unison, connected in intention, but separated by design, like waves on an ocean. It never becomes more clear how no one here is better than the other. When you finally face God for judgment, He does not care what you're wearing. He does not judge you based on wealth or your fame or anything you seek in this life. We will only be judged on what we hold in our hearts. When I finished Umrah and looked at my shaved head in the reflection of the mirror, it was the first time since childhood I truly saw myself.
MashaAllah. Yeah, bro, he killed this video. Like, he did. Like, this was really good. It was almost like poetry the way he was speaking, and it was very well written.